Donna, 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 Donna. I'm stalking my prey. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of the Build Comp here in Terra Nova. Lately, I've been working on my aim by tormenting people with the snowballs, because what else is a snow farm for other than tormenting your friends? But the moment you have all been waiting for, here is my build for the Build Comp. Isn't it the most beautiful, amazing igloo that you have ever seen in your entire life? Welcome to Om's Illegal Igloo, where hopefully I can make a few diamonds selling snow while promoting some naughty activities as well. Hopefully, with some free snowballs available, we can get all the players in the realm throwing snow at each other. Now, it's not quite as fun when your target isn't moving, but what is fun is when you see some people hard at work off in the distance, and you just want to torment them by sniping them with snowballs. Oh no, I've been caught being nefarious. I sure hope they don't turn me into the host. He might throw me in Minecraft jail for being naughty. But that's what I think of your authority, Rambo. I'm the snowball maniac, and that was a super late reaction there. So as you can tell, I have been very diligently at work building in the build competition, and definitely not just flying around throwing snowballs at people who are hard at work. In this episode, I am actually going to start building, and we're going to talk about resource management, how to gather mass materials for mega builds. It really doesn't have to be as time consuming as one might think. There are some ways that we can gather resources super duper fast. But in the last couple of episodes, we've talked about some basic tips and tricks on getting started and getting your enchantments. And enchantments really are that pivotal thing. The quicker you can get your enchantments set up, the more time you can invest doing things that you want to do, rather than things that you need to do. Like getting efficiency gives you more blocks, getting fortune gives you more ore, getting fire aspect and looting gives you more food, and you don't even have to smelt the food that you get. All of these things save a tremendous amount of time in the long run, and there are many roads that lead to that destination, from village traders, to raiding the inn, to raiding trial chambers, to fishing, to experience farms plus an enchanting table, and so much more. And I could go on and on about enchantments, because they really are just that important. But we talked about those in the last episode, so let's move on and check out what the gift fairy left me. Some kind soul left me an awesome gift. So whoever the gift fairy is, thank you so much. These diamonds will be a great help because I'm always poor, mainly because I hate mining for diamonds, but that's beside the point. And really the last few days, I've mostly just been editing video. So when I do log into the realm, it's basically just been to AFK my iron farm so that I can set me up some beacons and get haste. I always try to get haste as quickly as I possibly can, not only just to collect materials faster, but also to save me time when I'm digging holes or clearing out caves. But you don't even need a beacon to mass collect materials. There's a ton of blocks that are insta-mine with just efficiency. So if you don't want to fight the wither, you don't want to make a suffocator or any of that stuff, like sand and gravel are insta-mine with just an efficiency shovel. And you can combine those together with some dye or ink, and boom, you have this high quality build material known as concrete. So concrete is Instamine, because it's even 1-for-1 on the sand and gravel. So 1 concrete is 1 sand or 1 gravel plus some dye. And we can farm dye in AFK ways as well. Like I just built this cactus farm because I need a bunch of green concrete for my build. So all of this concrete was essentially Instamined. It was just Instamined with a shovel, no beacon, just some sand and gravel mixed with some cactus. Another thing I see people do is always converting the concrete before they build with it. And a lot of times, you can just build with the powder and then convert it in place with a bucket of water. Like sure, it may knock off a torch or two, but replacing those torches compared to mining out all of this concrete is still a huge time saver. But of course, we can't always just build out of powder. Sometimes there's nothing there to support it, and taking the time to build a supporting layer just to avoid conversion might not actually save you any time in the long run. So when converting concrete, as long as you have a haste 2 beacon, it's still insta-mined. So now at this point, 1 concrete is basically like mining out 2 sand. But if you don't have a beacon, well, it's about the same speed as mining stone without a beacon. So it's still super cheap to make, but just not as cheap on time if you don't have a beacon. It's basically like 1 stone and 1 sand on time. But there are machines that we can build to help us with the conversion time. Like this waterfall converter that I've tutorialed out in the past. Usually this lets me run place concrete to minimize placement time. But this realm is super rubber bandy, so it won't let me run place, but it will let me back up and spam place, which will still save me time. It's still fairly quick and easy and cheap to make, but I'll probably figure out a workaround to allow me to run place in like the next episode. So all in all, concrete is just insanely cheap. I mean, again, it's 1 for 1 on sand or gravel plus some dye. But if you convert it elsewhere and then remine it, it's still insanely cheap, but the time that it took to gather it is more comparable to stone. But there's of course also some farms that give you blocks, like dripstone, or like the snow farm that I built, or piggy trades for blackstone and gravel, or resin farms. And I love how alternative this base is to what I've talked about so far. Like we have an infestation farm with an enchanting table, so you can get to level 100 really quickly and easily, and then just spam enchantments on gear or on books. We have a starter house, a super smelter, a giant dripstone farm, and he's already in netherite gear. So as you can see, there's always different ways to accomplish the same kind of goal. But Doc was kind enough to show me a lush cave that he found, which is extra awesome because I need me a moss block. And of course, once you have 1 moss, you have them all. Now unfortunately, you can't spread moss to sand or terracotta, which means that I'm going to have to go underground and spread it there. Now we could also build a moss farm. You know, that's another really great one that's a fully AFK source of blocks. I'm just going to do this by hand though to save on some time. But for that, I definitely want to get myself a hoe and a source of bone meal. So one thing I like to do is just hook up a hopper and a chest directly to one of the composters that's being used by one of my farmers. That way I can compost all of the poppies that are dropped from the iron golems, and one nice thing about farming moss is you get a bunch of bone mealable stuff as well. All the seeds and azalea flowers and the moss carpet stuff, you know, will end up netting you a return on your bone meal. I've also gone ahead and organized all of my villagers. I have more masons than any other type for the blocks and the quartz and all that good masonry stuff. But I do have 3 librarians, 1 for mending, 1 for unbreaking, and then a 3rd for bookshelves, so I can get books in-house. Now if this was single player, I would have more librarians and I would go ahead and cure all of my villagers. But at the moment, 4 emeralds for a diamond hoe is pretty good. Now I can insta-mine all the moss that I need for my build. And moss is another one of those good examples of an insta-mine block that you don't need a beacon for. The nether has a bunch of these blocks as well, like all of the leaves on the nether trees are insta-mine with an efficiency hoe. The nether wart blocks, the warped wart blocks, and even nether rack. All of these are insta-mine with no beacon required. And nether rack can be smelted down into bricks to get all the stairs and slabs variations as well. You will have to brave the dangers of the nether, fighting mobs and dodging lava, but all 3 of these blocks are easy materials that you can mass collect in no time at all, because they're all insta-mine without a beacon. I mean, like netherrack, you can even collect safely by digging in the bottom or the top of the map. But with the leaves, you also get shroom lights while you harvest these, and who doesn't love a shroom light? And we can even make the nether less scary by building mob switches to turn off spawning, or just by bringing a potion of fire resistance so that if you do fall into a lava lake, you can just drink your potion and be okay. But now it's time to get back to building. So all I've really used so far is concrete moss, and I'm about to build out of the nether wart blocks, all of which are insta-mine with no beacon required, except for the pre-made concrete, which is more like harvesting stone without a beacon. But I have been neglecting my mob proofing, so I'm starting to get harassed by mobs and phantoms. And now I'm getting invaded by humans as well. Oh no, I can't spawn proof against these guys. They've all come to take revenge on the snowball maniac for tormenting them so much with snow. I'm being chased by a Houdini robot right now. Get back, you foul beast. Leave me alone. Leave Omladu alone. Leave him alone. I always wonder what people think when they see a project that hasn't taken shape yet. Like, this is basically just a green blob in the middle of the desert. It's such a unique perspective when you have to allow your imagination to just kind of guess at what the project is supposed to be. I always love hearing unique perspectives. But on another note, this could be a fun minigame. Build a thin ring, maybe out of like glass panes, and have the person in the middle throwing snowballs trying to knock all of the other people off. But enough shenanigans, time to get back to work. So I have most of the basic outline done. Now I'm just trying to figure out where things will fit together and how big things need to be. So I'm building some visual guides to kind of help me plan what I'm about to do. But let's play a guessing game. Let me know down in the comments right now what you think this is going to be. Can you already tell what it is, or are you not really sure yet? And let me know how skeptical you are about what I've built so far. I mean, again, I've basically just built like a green concrete tube with some moss poking out of it. So I understand if there's some skepticism there. But this is a good example of like, it doesn't have to look good from the get-go. You don't have to start with details and making it look dynamic. In fact, I like to start with the basic shapes of everything and then add the details and the other stuff later on. It allows me to kind of get a broader perspective when I actually go to make the details. Plus, if I realize that I need to change something, I don't have to worry about losing the texture or the details that I've already worked on. Kind of like if I let these creepers blow up my build. I definitely need to not neglect my torch spam. But it's coming along. I have the basic geometry done, so it's time to start adding details. I'm going to start by cutting out a mouth and adding some lips, and just kind of go from there. Maybe I'll texture the tube later, maybe not. Either way, as I work on things, I can look at the overall picture of it and see what needs changing and what doesn't. And really, that's the hard part about survival building. It's not collecting the materials. As we've talked about before, there are tons of things that are insta-mine even without a beacon. There are a ton of farms that give you AFK blocks. Then if you start adding beacons to the mix, well, now most things are insta-mine. And even things that aren't, you can start using blast chambers, world eaters, wither mining. There's ways to obtain millions of blocks really, really quickly if that is your goal. The hard part about survival building is walking back and forth for 10 minutes trying to see which stair you missed to make it symmetrical. You know, the hard part about survival building is wasting rockets to fly around your build to look at it from different perspectives, to see what works and what doesn't. The hard part about survival is constantly falling off your build and having to either use rockets to get back up or crawl up scaffolding. The easy part about creative isn't that you have the creative menu, it's that you can float. Floating is just crazy OP when it comes to designing. Or in survival, designing things in survival? I mean, I've been flying around for 5 minutes, wasting rockets and looking at things just to break out these 4 nether wart blocks. You know, and in creative, I would just float there for 5 seconds and then poke them out, float again for 5 seconds. You know, it would save 100 times the amount of time. Plus in survival, you have all this scaffolding and other nonsense that gets in your way and blocks your view. And again, because you can't float, you can't kind of bypass any of this stuff. You just have to deal with it and try to look past it. Those are the real struggles of survival building. But wait, we interrupt this program to bring you an important message. Are you tired of your scaffolding falling down? Well, I have an amazing thing for you. For a limited time only, you can buy a stack of pumpkins for the low, low price of 27 diamonds. These aren't just regular pumpkins, no, they're magical floating pumpkins. You can use them to support your scaffolding and keep you going. These pumpkins float, these pumpkins are strong. They can hold you up and hold up your scaffolding too. So act now before time runs out and get your pumpkins today. We got commercials now in the middle of the Minecraft videos. I just thought it was funny that I've been using pumpkins to hold up my scaffolding monster. Thankfully though, I'm getting closer to being able to take the scaffolding down. All I have to do is finish some of these details. I'm going through and switching out the nether wart for quartz to make some spots. Now I'm also using quartz because it has stair variants. So I can go on the inside and place backwards stairs so that they still look like full blocks, but they will allow light to pass through. That way I can light up the top and the outside of this without any visual light sources. But now that I'm done with that, I can get rid of these trees and get rid of the scaffolding and all of the other obstructions, so I can really get a look-see at what I've done so far. And logs are another thing that's insta-mine with a beacon. If you like building out of wood, just build you a beacon next to your forest and you can insta-mine all the wood that you will ever need. Without a beacon, wood is comparable to stone, like the mining speed-wise, but you get 4 planks per log, of course. But now, I finally got rid of the forest and can get rid of this scaffolding as well. So time to break out my magical pumpkins and let my scaffolding fall. And this right here is why I still use scaffolding, because I get super insanely annoyed at the 6-block limitation that scaffolding has. There's just absolutely no reason why that limitation is so small. It should at least be like 12 blocks or something. But at least it's easy to take down. You know, you just break out the supporting blocks and then pop out the bottom scaffolding and it all just comes down. So that's nice and helpful. But now it's time to move on to the inside of the mouth. So as you can see, I've been hiding jack-o'-lanterns near the stairs for these spots. So hopefully the jack-o'-lanterns will be able to light up the entire top and outside to block spots. Then I'm going to black everything out, hide the jack-o'-lanterns and the interior, and it works! There are no spawns on top of his head. I also added a tongue, which I think was really cool. All in all, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out so far. I still have quite a bit of stuff I need to do on like the stem, adding some leaves and some connections, but for the most part I think his head is complete. But let me know what you think about it down in the comments. Did you know what I was building right off the bat, or were you surprised? Also let me know what you think the theme of this build is going to be. But that's all we got for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, share, and subscribe. Always remember that you are totally awesome, but above all, don't forget to have fun. Bye-bye!